Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Forest Film Festival. Today's movie is the third in our mini-series, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, consisting of films related to different modes of transport. It's Murder on the Orient Express, 2010. The showing of this film marks a bit of a departure from our usual selections, since it's only our second film that was developed for television rather than movie theaters. As many of you may know, there are other versions of the film out there, notably a 1974 version with Albert Finney as Poirot, and a 2017 version with Kenneth Branagh in the same role. But this version with David Suchet as Poirot is my favorite. For me, no one will ever play Poirot better than David Suchet. Because this film was made for the TV format, it's shorter than the others, running only 89 minutes. It appeared on PBS in the United States as episode 65 in a series of 70 episodes entitled Agatha Christie's Poirot, which aired over 13 seasons from the late 1980s to 2013. The screenplay was written by Stuart Harcourt, based on Agatha Christie's famous novel of the same name, published in 1934. The director, Philip Martin, is best known to American audiences for writing and directing episodes for many PBS productions, including Prime Suspect, Wallander, The Crown, and Hawking. If you are a fan of these shows, you've undoubtedly seen his credits roll by. The film has a huge ensemble cast of well-known British actors, including Suchet, Toby Jones as Ratchet, Eileen Atkins as Princess Dragomirov, Hugh Bonneville as Masterman, and Jessica Chastain as Miss Debenham. David Suchet was born in England in 1946 and has an unusual background. The name Suchet would imply that he is of French or Belgian descent, but nothing could be more incorrect. Suchet's paternal grandfather, Isidor Suchetowicz, was of Lithuanian Jewish descent, originally from Kretinga in the Pale settlement of the Russian Empire. At some time, the family name was recorded as Suchet, which is the Yiddish word for a kosher butcher. In due course, they made their way to South Africa, where Suchet's father changed his name to the name they use now, Suchet. When he emigrated to England, the name remained as Suchet. David's father became a distinguished obstetrician gynecologist in Britain. His mother was born in England to an English Anglican mother, although her father was also of Russian Jewish descent. Although Suchet was raised without religion, he became a practicing Anglican in 1986. When he was 16, one of his teachers spotted his acting talent and encouraged him to join the National Youth Theatre. He went on from there to train professionally at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Arts. During a long and distinguished career, he has played every role from a large stable of Shakespearean characters to the likes of Sigmund Freud, Antonio Salieri, the biblical prophet Aaron, and of course, Poirot. Plot summary. Railway director Monsieur Bouc procures a berth for Poirot on the train from Istanbul to London. Ratchet, an abrasive American businessman traveling with his valet male secretary, tries to hire Poirot because he feels his life is in danger. Poirot turns him down, but the next morning, while the train is stuck in a snowdrift, Ratchet is found stabbed to death in his compartment. This probably means that the murderer is still on the train, although there is vague talk about a man seen fleeing along the tracks. Many of the passengers do not seem to know Ratchet or each other. Poirot, aided by Monsieur Bouc and one of the passengers, Dr. Constantine, sets out to sort it all out and identify the murderer. Fun facts about the film. The majority of the film was shot at Pinewood Studios in Buckinghamshire, England, and on location at different sites in London, Britain, Malta, Istanbul, and Croatia. Many railroad car interior scenes were filmed in a replica of an Orient Express bar car, which the crew constructed in the studio especially for this film, even though There were no bar cars on the train during the 30s. This was because it was easier logistically to film the large cast scenes in a bar car than it would have been in a dining car. The outdoor rail scenes were shot on the Nene Valley Railroad, a 7.5-mile long restored period rail line near the English town of Peterborough. At the end of the film, as the credits roll, seemingly random letters highlighted in red spell out the words Venice Simplon, the name of the company which operated the Orient Express. The locomotive is a BR Standard Class 5 with added smoke deflectors to make it look more continental. Agatha Christie took her first trip on the Orient Express in late 1928. In February 1929, the train was marooned by a blizzard in Çerkezköy, Turkey. In December 1931, Christie's return trip was delayed by 24 hours when a flood washed away sections of the tracks. These incidents inspired Christie to write Murder on the Orient Express. Other inspiration came from the 1932 kidnapping of the infant son of Charles Lindbergh. The book was published in the U.S. in 1934 under the title Murder on the Calais Coach. To prevent confusion with another book titled Orient Express, which had recently been released in the United States. When first offered the role of Poirot, Suchet was a little dubious, but he set out to research the character by reading all of Agatha Christie's Poirot books and stories, amassing a list of 93 traits Christie used to describe the character. He carried that list around with him to every film in which he performed, giving copies to all of the directors who directed him in the role. Suchet has said that he misses Poirot deeply since he stopped performing this role. Things to look for: the Nene Valley Railroad, the BR5 Standard Class locomotive, Art Deco interiors in the railroad cars and the Istanbul Hotel, period autos, Hugh Bonneville as a butler looking for a wealthy employer, just before he went on to play Lord Grantham for 6 seasons in Downton Abbey, with a butler of his own. Recognizable settings in London and Istanbul. Now it's time to settle down, tune up your little gray cells, and enjoy Murder on the Orient Express. Remember, there may be a short delay before the film runs. Enjoy.